Today I'm going to tell you about a man who led one of the most extraordinary double lives in British crime history. By day, he was just another face behind the wheel of a London city bus. But once his shift ended, he became the mastermind of Europe's largest cocaine smuggling network, an empire that would eventually grow to nearly $1 billion. Every day, hundreds of passengers ride London buses without ever giving a second thought to the person driving them. For most, he was simply the driver, wearing a standard uniform and earning an honest wage. His name was Hazus Ruz, and to neighbors and co-workers, he appeared to be a hardworking family man, quietly getting by. But behind that calm exterior, Hazus was building a secret life, one so audacious that Britain had never seen anything like it. Far from being just a driver, he was orchestrating the smuggling of tons of pure cocaine, turning himself into Europe's own Pablo Escobar. Hazus was born and raised in Colombia, a country long associated with the cocaine trade. By the time he arrived in the UK, he already knew how to operate in the shadows. In London, he blended in perfectly, working as a bus driver and living an apparently modest life. Since he had no criminal record, nobody suspected a thing. While appearing to be an ordinary man, Hazus quietly built a smuggling network linking Colombian cartels to Britain's black market. He devised an ingenious system to move cocaine from South American ports to UK warehouses, hiding shipments inside sealed fruit juice cans and food containers. On paper, he was a businessman importing packaged food and beverages. In reality, those companies were just a front. He set up shell firms, created fake invoices, and produced shipping papers so authentic that even seasoned inspectors believed the cargo was legitimate. By 2010, Hazus's operation was running with military precision. Cocaine arrived at British ports disguised as everyday goods, slipped through customs, and went on to warehouses around London and the Midlands. From there, trusted associates unpacked the drug, repackaged it, and distributed it to mid-level gangs who sold it on the streets. Hazus was careful never to get his hands dirty. He delegated every task, keeping himself out of sight. No one ever saw him sell drugs or flaunt wealth, and that was exactly how he wanted it. But as Britain's appetite for cocaine exploded, so did Hazus's ambitions. By 2015, he scaled the operation to an industrial level. No longer was the cocaine hidden in small cans. Entire shipping containers packed with high-grade powder began arriving through ports like London Gateway, Portsmouth, and Felixstowe. Each container bore flawless branding and genuine-looking paperwork, making the shipments almost impossible to detect. After clearing customs, the containers were sent to storage sites where workers removed the drugs, repackaged them, and sent them across the country. The profits were staggering, each load was worth millions. Hazus's empire ballooned to nearly $1 billion. To keep up with demand, he partnered with Dutch criminal groups skilled at moving contraband across European borders. His network now stretched from Colombia to Britain, Spain, Holland, and Belgium. Yet despite controlling a multinational operation, Hazus continued driving buses in London. For those who knew him, nothing had changed. He was still that polite driver who greeted passengers every morning. But the scale of his success created new problems. The money was pouring in faster than he could hide it. He began purchasing properties across the UK and in Colombia, registering them under relatives' names and shell companies. He secretly enjoyed luxury holidays, expensive cars, and designer clothes, a lifestyle far beyond a bus driver's salary. Eventually, word of an unusually large flow of Colombian cocaine reaching Britain reached law enforcement. An informant mentioned a man named Hazus might be involved, though there was no solid proof. Detectives decided to watch him quietly. They tracked his financial transactions and uncovered real estate holdings and offshore accounts that no bus driver could afford. Hazus had no idea that the walls were closing in, that the very double life he'd built so carefully was about to unravel. As investigators tightened their watch, Hazus began taking extra precautions. The luxury cars he drove weren't registered in his own name but under those of friends and relatives. That cloak of modesty soon earned him a nickname in the press, the budget Pablo Escobar. While the Colombian kingpin flaunted his millions on palaces and private zoos, Hazus buried his fortune behind the mask of a London bus driver. But even the most careful criminal leaves traces. Financial analysts at Britain's National Crime Agency, NCA, spotted unusual transfers linked to tiny businesses, companies far too small to justify the amount of cash flowing through them. They also found evidence of expensive purchases quietly made with laundered money. And as Hazus's empire grew, keeping his workers silent became harder. Rumors about his hidden wealth began to circulate, though to most people he remained nothing more than the friendly man driving the number 47 bus. By 2018, law enforcement pressure was mounting. British ports were seizing more and more cocaine, often hidden in shipments of fruit, juice cans, or vegetables. A clear pattern emerged: massive quantities of drugs arriving in legitimate-looking containers. The NCA joined the investigation, piecing together shipping records. Again and again, the same fabricated names appeared, fake companies registered only to move contraband. Slowly, the layers of Hazus's operation were peeled back. Detectives put him under round-the-clock surveillance, tailing him from bus stops to warehouses, noting every person he met. His phones were tapped, revealing coded conversations about fruit juice shipments, code for cocaine. Their first real breakthrough came when customs officers intercepted a container supposedly filled with juice cans. Inside, they found an enormous cache of cocaine, worth several $1 million, packed so expertly it could have slipped through any routine check. The shipping documents linked the cargo to front companies traced directly back to Hazus. Armed with this evidence, police shadowed the routes the drugs took from Colombian ports to Britain's warehouses. Hazus, meanwhile, grew nervous, swapping phones, altering travel plans, and cutting off contact with his crew. He knew the net was closing. After months of covert work, the NCA struck. Simultaneous raids swept through London and the Midlands, warehouses, safe houses, even Hazus's own home. When officers stormed the basement, they found crate after crate of cocaine, hundreds of pounds of it, identical to the pack seized at the ports. Alongside the drugs lay shipping manifests, financial ledgers, and paperwork proving Hazus's link to the smuggling empire. His network of shell companies, once hidden behind spotless paperwork, now stood exposed, revealing an intricate web of money laundering that had pushed millions across Europe and South America. The news stunned the public. How could a man who spent his mornings collecting bus fares secretly control a billion-dollar drug syndicate? In court, prosecutors laid out the entire scheme: how cocaine was imported inside juice cans, how it moved to warehouses, and how profits were sent overseas through hawala networks and offshore accounts. The defense tried to paint Hazus as a minor player, not the mastermind. But the evidence, eyewitness accounts, surveillance footage, seized cocaine, and financial trails, all pointed squarely at him. The jury returned a unanimous verdict: guilty. Hazus was convicted of drug trafficking and running a criminal cartel. The judge handed down a 30-year prison sentence, closing the curtain on one of Britain's most audacious double lives. Authorities moved quickly. Warehouses were sealed, properties seized, and many of his accomplices arrested. Mid-level gangs panicked as cocaine supplies dried up, causing turmoil in Britain's drug market. Other syndicates scrambled to fill the gap, but the bust dealt a historic blow to organized crime. At a press conference, officials described the operation as a textbook case of how a man can hide in plain sight, living among ordinary people while running an international drug ring stretching from Colombia and Spain to the Netherlands and Britain. Universities and law schools later included the case in courses on organized crime and criminology, a reminder that even the most unassuming person might conceal a dangerous secret. Hazus's story teaches that no matter how carefully planned, criminal empires leave footprints, and eventually, justice catches up. What did you think of this incredible case? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe. See you in the next video.